For this question, the first thing that you want to remember is that alpha is a variable. So it's our independent variable in the same way that we would have f of x, we have g of alpha. So when you look at this expression, this 5 raised to the negative alpha over 2 has a variable in it, and sine of 2 alpha has a variable in it. So we're talking about a variable times a variable, and so we need to use our product rule. So you would start off, and before we write down our first function, let's just emphasize that this 5 to the negative alpha, that is going to follow the rule of a to the x because you have a number raised to a variable expression. Moreover, because of the fact that it's not just alpha, we will have to use the chain rule. So what we're actually doing here is we're going to use the a to the u rule, where we're taking the derivative with respect to x, and we will get that that is going to be a to the u natural log of a times u prime. So that is actually the rule that we're going to have to use on this 5 to the negative alpha over 2. The other thing to notice is that because it is 2 alpha and not just alpha, this will require a chain rule and we'll have to multiply by the derivative of the inside. So writing this all up, our first function is 5 to the negative alpha over 2. Second function is equal to sine of 2 alpha, sine of 2 alpha. So my first function's derivative, again, I am using this a to the u rule. I will have the 5 to the negative alpha over 2 times the natural log of the base, which is 5, times the derivative of negative alpha over 2. Now, alpha over 2 is a linear term. So when we take its derivative, we will have negative 1/2. So again, just to emphasize, this negative 1/2 is coming from the derivative with respect to alpha of negative alpha over 2. And it's a linear term, so it's just going to be negative 1/2. Now, for our second function, its derivative of sine is going to be cosine of 2 alpha. And then because we have something besides just alpha, we have to multiply by the derivative of the inside, and that derivative will just be 2. All right, so putting this all together into our product rule, again, we have our first function here, second function, first function's derivative, and second function's derivative. So plugging into the product rule, we will have that g prime of alpha, let me scoot this up, is going to be equal to sine of 2 alpha times 5 to the negative alpha over 2 natural log of 5 times negative 1/2. And I'm putting the parentheses around negative 1/2 just to really emphasize that that's not subtraction, that's multiplying by negative 1/2. Then we have plus our second derivative and then the first function. So 5 to the negative alpha over 2 times cosine of 2 alpha times 2. Now, if you want to be very precise about this, there really isn't too much simplification that you can do, but if you look at both of these boxes here, both terms that come from the product rule, you will notice that they have this comma 5 to the negative alpha over 2, so we could bring that out as a GCF. So our GCF here could be the 5 to the negative alpha over 2, and if we bring that out, we will have that g prime of alpha is equal to 5 to the negative alpha over 2. And then this first term, I might want to bring the negative 1/2 in front and then write natural log of 5 and then sine of 2 alpha. And then that would be plus, and from the second term, we would have 2 cosine of 2 alpha. And that would be our product rule with the GCF expanded out. But again, you don't have to do that if you do not want to.